Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. So when I woke up this morning, came down to the computer to answer some comments from my last video, and there's a comment from Kieran Meaney from Ireland, and he was all excited about the Oasis shows, and he said, "Hey Alan, how about doing a video right there on your favorite Irish bands?" Now, if you're watching my channel and you go into recent videos, you know, it started when I came back from Jamaica about 2 weeks ago, and I did my favorite reggae albums, which is Jamaican artists. And then I did got a comment said, "How about doing your favorite Canadian bands, artists?" So I did that. And then somebody said, "How about doing your favorite Australian ones?" I'm like, "Yep, did that one too." And now Karen Meaney has requested favorite Irish music artists, and that's a great one. So I saw that this morning. I just worked 9 hours. It is 9 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm exhausted, but Kieran, it's a great idea. And with my channel, one of the advantages of having a small channel is I can answer all the comments and knock out videos pretty quickly because, as you know, it's all about my collection, my opinion, but based on what I actually own. So I could just go to my database and my archives and pull them out, which is what I just did for the last hour. Let's do a live video. Now, I'm going to be showing you 15 of my favorite Irish music artists. They're from Ireland, the Emerald Island, and boy, I'll tell you, for a small island, relatively small, they sure got a lot of great artists. I'm going to show you my top 15, and then at the end, in alphabetical order, and then at the end, I'll tell you what my top 5 are. But you'll be able to figure it out, just based on the amount that I have and how much I play them. So, starting at the letter A, this is a band that I mentioned in my Oasis video, which I just did yesterday, that I used to read religiously Q Magazine back in the 90s when Q Magazine was this thick. Really the greatest music magazine I ever read. And they also used to cover a band called Ash. We're not talking Wishbone Ash, which is one of my favorite bands. We're talking about the band Ash. And I used to read about them a lot. And then I decided to give them a shot, and man, I just fell in love with them. So I have 5 Ash albums. They've all been really successful for me. Certainly my favorite of theirs is this one, Free All Angels, and this is a deluxe edition with a enhanced CD-ROM, and a free bonus DVD. So, you know, there's a lot of versions of this album. If you don't know Ash, I would definitely recommend. This album was chock full of hits. Not in the U.S., unfortunately, but overseas. And Walking Barefoot, Shining Light, Burn Baby Burn, Candy, oh, fantastic. I mean, the whole album is chock full of hit singles across the pond. Someday, Sometimes, There's a Star. I turned my son on to them, and he loves them too. I also love the album Meltdown. This was a great one as well. Evil Eye, Orpheus, Starcrossed, another great album. This is my favorite. So Ash from Ireland. We'll start them off with the letter A, and I'm going to show you just like my favorite albums by these artists because I'm going to have a million CDs. So that's Ash. That's the first one. Next up is the Boomtown Rats. Bob Geldof and company. I just think they're pretty good. I have only one Boomtown Rats album. It's this one, Greatest Hits. And I Don't Like Mondays is amazing. Rat Trap is amazing. Some really good stuff. But, you know, I just think they're okay. But Bob Geldof, of course, the one of the founders of, what was that, Live Aid. So we'll stick you over there, Bob. Why not? Okay, next up is in the letter C. This is the Chieftains. I only have one of their albums. And I really like this one. This is The Long Black Veil. This is a cool album because you got all these guests, including Mick Jagger, Sting, Van Morrison, Mark Knopfler, Sinead O'Connor's on here. Even the Stones are on here. This is a really cool album. I have a Chieftains live concert on Laserdisc, which is really fun. Not the kind of act that I would listen to that much, which is why I really only have this CD. As you know, I got like 6,000 physical albums and CDs, but I have a small house and spaces is a premium, so I really only can keep what I really like. Next up is Clannad. This is a recent purchase. I think I got this year. maybe last year. Greatest hits of Clannad. When I'm in that kind of a ethereal Enya type mood, this works really well. I don't have a desire to get more of their stuff as of now, but Clannad and the Greatest Hits album is the one that I have from them right now. Let's keep going. This is a cool one. I picked this up. I found it out in the wild for really cheap, and I picked it up because it had Bono on it and Ronnie Wood. And I'm like, well, how bad could it be with those guys on it? And this was one of my favorite albums of the year when it came out. And it's one of my favorite live albums. And this is the Corrs, live in Dublin, VH1. And this is an amazing album. You know, they're clearly the real deal. Yeah, they're really great looking. But they really can sing. They write great songs, really catchy. And there's something really special, in my opinion, about this one. I have 3 Corrs albums. This is not the only one. But this is the one that I discovered them by, and it's the one that I still play a lot. There's something really special about that one. Enya made the news for me recently in one of my videos because I used to have these albums when they came out. I dumped them to make space. And then somebody had mentioned Enya, and I'm like, you know what? When I come home from a 9-hour day at work and I'm pissed and stressed, sometimes you just need to chill out with that woo Enya sound, and it works. So I rebought Watermark and Shepherd Moons, and they're good. So Enya is from Ireland as well, and why not have her in there as I get older? Sometimes you just need to chill, and that's Enya right there. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, amazing guitarist. I'm definitely a big fan of Rory Gallagher. I have 8 of his albums. Of course, he started in the band Taste, and this is a Taste CD that I don't see too often. I don't know if this is pretty rare import on Polydor, but that's definitely a good one. But Rory Gallagher, to me, is the best when he's live. And, of course, the real classic, I guess, is Irish Tour. I have the DVD of that. It's a really good movie. Really cool. There's the CD of Irish Tour. But his other live album, well, he's got a bunch. This isn't the other favorite of mine, which is called Live in Europe. And there's a couple other live ones I have as well. But these 2, for me, are really spectacular. What an amazing guitarist. You know, his beat-up Strat. And, just the way he dressed. Certainly fantastic stuff. Rory Gallagher. 8 albums I have from him. This is a band that I recently started getting into. I talked about them last year. They won the Best New Artist of the Year for me, even though they're really old. They started in the early 70s. They were really like the first Irish rock band, I guess. We're talking about Horslips, and I bought a bunch of their albums on vinyl, which I'm not showing you now. But this is a really cool collection, the very best of Horslips, and it's a 2 CD set. It's beautiful. They've been putting out their CDs with bonus tracks and just a really beautiful job. But this, called Treasury, is spectacular. And this is a band that I will continue to get into. Horslips, I currently have 4 albums. And again, they won Best New Artist of the Year last year for me, which I know is really dumb because they've been around since the 70s. But hey, they were new for me. And by the way, I should have said Ash won Best New Artist of the year that I got into them as well, just to let you know. Next up, we got Van Morrison. I am a big Van Morrison fan. I think most people are musically. And I have 23 of his albums. Now, he has a huge discography. But 23 is a nice collection. I'm not going to show all of them. But I will show you the 3 that I play the most. And Moondance, of course, is the most commercial and maybe to a certain extent the most famous, although people who are cool are always going to say Astro Weeks, and I like Astro Weeks, but I've talked about Astro Weeks, that it's not the greatest album of all time. To me, it's not even in the running for the best Van Morrison albums. I mean, Moondance, pound for pound, song for song, there's no beating that. But I also love from 1978 Wavelength, and I don't know, I never hear people talk about this album because it's kind of a commercial album. This album is killer, man. Kingdom Hall, checking it out, the title track, Santa Fe, take it where you find it. If you don't know Wavelength, check out that album from Van Morrison because it's killer. And it's commercial, too. It's really good. Another one that I also love, especially, is Beautiful Vision. This is the one that's got cleaning windows. Man, if you don't like cleaning windows, you got no taste. But this is a great album. Northern Muse, Dweller on the Threshold, Van Lowe's Stairway. I love this album. In fact, his live album from Dublin, which I have, is I think from that tour. So that's a really good live record, by the way, the Dublin album. Van Morrison, I got 23 of his albums. Next up is the Pogues. I have 3 Pogues albums. The 2 that I think are the best is probably the 2 most famous, If I Should Fall from Grace with God, and Run, Sodomy, and The Lash. And I turned my son on to these guys. He loves them because my son loves to party. And these guys love to party. But, I kind of got to be in the mood for them. My son can listen to them all the time, but I got to be in the mood. Except for Fairy Tale of New York, which is... I did a video a long time ago about my favorite Christmas songs. You could look for that if you want, but you'll see the Pogues in that. So just thought I'd mention that. What else do we got? Who's next? Well, we got Stiff Little Fingers, and I only have 1 album from them, but it's all I think I need. It's a 2 CD collection called All the Best, and I really enjoy it a lot. It's got 30 tracks on it on One Way Records. Hard to find CD of Stiff Little Fingers, All the Best. I like them. Haven't felt the desire to get more and more of their catalog, but maybe one day. Next up is a classic rock band, one of the biggest from Ireland. We're talking about Thin Lizzy. I like Thin Lizzy. I don't like them as much as probably some of you are going to criticize, but I'm a fan. I got only 2 of the Thin Lizzy albums. I had others. I dumped them to make space. I just didn't feel the need. I have like a best of, and then of course I have Live and Dangerous, which is one of the all-time great 70s live records. This is a killer live album for sure. For me, at this point, Thin Lizzy, the live one and the best of, is all I need. Next up is the Undertones. I have 2 Undertones albums. This is a really cool one. This is on CD at last. This is the best of the Undertones. I love how they did it. It's 4 albums, and they take the best tracks from the 4 albums. And this is a promo CD. This is not even a real CD. So I don't know how the hell I found this thing. But it is the best Undertones album that I have. I also have their debut album with a whole mess of bonus tracks, which is really good. And I had 2 other ones which I got rid of. So for space reasons. The Undertones. Next up, we get into the big one for me. And I got the shirt on. I saw the show at the Sphere. And I have talked about U2. U2 is definitely one of my all-time favorite bands. And I have, are you ready for this? 53 U2 albums, and I'm not making that up. I have 53 U2 albums, and you're like, I didn't even know they had 53. They don't. That includes imports, bootlegs. I actually don't have too many multiple copies of each album. I try to stick to just one, but I do have a couple of variations. But I'm just a really big fan. I have bootlegs of all of their tours. They're amazing live. They're amazing on studio. And I have U2 out of the 53 albums. They have had 5 top 3 albums for me. If you know my channel, when I say top 3, at the end of every single year, I do an award show at the end. And I tell you who my top 3 albums of the year were based on how much I played them. And then I also pick out my best new artist, which is somebody new to me. So U2 has 5 top 3 albums, but even more impressive, 4 of them were the #1 album of the year. And the point I want to make of U2, my favorite U2 album is Achtung Baby, which they did at the Sphere, so I was thrilled with that. But I know they're the band that's fun to hate because of various reasons that people hate them. But musically, I think I put them in the upper echelon. I put them in the gods of rock, I really do, with the Stones and the Beatles and the Who and Zeppelin and Springsteen and Dylan. I put U2 up there as well. I think they're that influential, that important, and that great. And my point is, don't discard their latter-day albums. They are a very special band, considering how long they've been together and how hard they work on their albums. I think the quality of their later-day albums are as good as the Joshua Tree or a lot of the other albums that people like to throw out and say, oh, they suck since then. They don't, man. And All That You Can't Leave Behind is like a damn near perfect album. I don't know why people would ever criticize How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. I think this album's amazing as well. Even No Line on the Horizon, not quite as good as the other ones, but still really, really strong, I thought. And this one here that people love to criticize because it had that whole Apple controversy. I don't really care about the controversy. The question is, how good's the album? And this album, the Innocence, Songs of Innocence, was amazing. Amazing. The one that came after this wasn't that good. First disappointing U2 album for me in a long time. But this album was amazing too. So I just wanted to make a point that U2, at least in my opinion, is one of the all-time greats and one of the few bands where their latter-day albums are, in my opinion, as good as the classic albums that everybody likes to throw out there. And kind of trash them, and it's really unfair because they are something special. Really are. That is U2, and that's definitely going to fall, David, so we are not sticking it there. The last one of my favorite Irish music artists is going to be the Waterboys. And the Waterboys, I have 11 albums. And they've had top 3 albums for me, which is pretty amazing. And out of those 3, 2 of them were the #1 albums of the year. My favorite Waterboys album is this one. This is the Sea. This album is spectacular. I just think it's incredible. Of course, the first album I ever got by them was Fisherman Blues, which I then got the deluxe edition, which is also amazing. And an album that I wanted to mention because it came out a few years ago and I was blown away how great it was, in my opinion, was Modern Blues. I don't know if people ever talk about this. This is a latter-day Waterboys album that's just great. So there you have it, the Waterboys, for me. The last of my favorite Irish artists that I wanted to show. And I'm showing you the CDs that I have. 15 of them, of my favorites. What would be my favorite? Well, obviously U2. I got 53 albums, and I put them in the upper echelon, the gods of rock and roll. They're my #1 favorite Irish band. I would say my second favorite Irish music artist is the Waterboys, Mike Scott, the Big Sound. They are a work in progress. I'm going to get everything by them, and I'm actually getting pretty close. I just love them. I think my #3 would be Van Morrison. I have 23 of his albums. I don't love all of his albums, and I don't have all of his albums, but the 23 that I have are pretty strong. He would be my #3. After that, I would probably say my #4 would be Rory Gallagher, and probably my #5 would be Ash. After that, it's just, 1 or 2 albums each, and they're just bands that I really enjoy. Horslips is somebody that is working their way up. I'm definitely really enjoying them. So those are my favorite artists. Now, you're sitting there going, Alan, where's the Cranberries? Where's Dropkick Murphys? I actually had 5 Dropkick Murphy albums, and I kind of enjoyed them. My son is a huge fan. I actually saw Dropkick Murphys at Roseland in New York City. It was one of the wildest concerts I ever saw, and I had to watch my son stage diving and getting the crap beat out of him in a mosh pit. It was just a wild show, and they were amazing. I do like Dropkick Murphys. The problem is I just never was in the mood to listen to them, and it was taking a lot of space up, so I just dumped it. And my son Michael's got all their albums anyway. Flagging Molly's another one. My son's got all of their albums. He's a big fan. Hot House Flowers, I gave them a shot at one point. Sinead O'Connor just doesn't do much for me. What can I tell you? And Snow Patrol, I once bought their album, and I was like, nah, doesn't do much for me either. Oh, the Cranberries. I definitely enjoy the Cranberries. I actually had the one album with a really big hit, but it was really good. I probably should have kept it, but I was like, I'm never going to listen to it, so I dumped it. So there you go. Let me know what you thought is on my video. Am I missing anybody? I don't think I'm missing too many really big ones. And what do you think about the Emerald Island and these amazing artists that have come out of that amazing, beautiful land? Would love to know your thoughts. I think that's going to cover it for this travelogue. I did have somebody who requested a video of like European continental artists. Just doesn't make sense because my channel is all about my physical media and what I love and what I have. I am never going to just show up a picture. That's not for me. I'm about the real deal, what I have. And there's not that many continental artists. I was thinking, who's there? Like Focus, I really like. There's a couple, but I just couldn't think of that many where it would really pay to do a video. So Tangerine Dream, that was another one. But I just couldn't think of too many really big artists that I have that were out continental Europe. So whoever requested that, I apologize. I just don't see it happening. That's about it. If you're new to my channel, hit subscribe and check out my other videos, man. We got playlists here. I got hundreds and hundreds of videos to dig into. Yesterday I did the Oasis video. If you haven't seen that, check that out. And as always, thank you so much. Have a great night. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And I'll see you next time on the Alan Rosenberg Show.